It's scientifically proven that about 10% of humans, usually females, can see more colors than all the rest of us. They're called tetrachromats, and due to an extra type of cone cell in the retina, they can experience a 100-fold increase and superhuman ability to perceive different shades, hues, and pigments than the rest of us normal-eyed peasants. So when Google calls this Pixel 9a the color of iris, I can only assume that whoever named it can see more colors than me. Personally, I'm just going to call it light blue and continue on with my day. I am a big fan of the minimalist camera bump. The ability to lay flat on a table is massive improvement. What bothers me most about the Pixel 9a though isn't visible on the outside. Yeah, it's thrown off iPhone vibes, and that's totally fine. We'll get to my deal breaker in just a second. First, the scratch test. Google is selling the Pixel 9a for $499, which is pretty good. Not having a camera bump is rather amazing for my Mohs hardness picks. We also know that Google picked an older recipe of Gorilla Glass, Gorilla Glass 3, to help save on costs. It might not be as impact resistant as Gorilla Glass Victus, but we still see the normal scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. The Gorilla Glass 3 is also protecting the 13-megapixel hole punch selfie camera, and the glass continues upward through the black screen bezels to the edge of the phone, where it meets with a razor-thin earpiece slit. And honestly, I imagine that a good chunk of the cost from this phone come from the aluminum side rails. You can always save 2 Benjamins and go with a plastic CMF Phone 2 Pro instead, but it all depends on what you like, or what your wallet likes. The buttons are also metal and do not separate from the frame of the phone. The top has dual antenna lines and a noise-canceling microphone hole. The left side is a button-free blank slate of anodized aluminum. The bottom of the phone is where I start to have a few more concerns. It has a 23-watt USB-C 3.2 port, a microphone hole, and a SIM card tray, which major bummer about that no micro SD card slot. But the thing I'm worried about is supposedly the IP68 water resistance rating. You know, the submersible level of water protection. The thing you should watch out for is this large opening for the speaker grill. Usually these are small holes punched into the frame like we see on the iPhones, Samsungs, or Red Magics of the world. But Google's just got a slot down here worthy of a Nintendo Switch cartridge, and the waterproofing mesh is left unprotected on the inside of that slot. Just like leaning on a screen door would destroy the screen, any dirt, lint, or pocket sand entering into this crevice could very easily completely eliminate the waterproofing. So it's something to watch out for if you ever need to clean this slot out. The mesh screen can very easily be punctured and damaged. My favorite part of the Pixel 9a though is the lack of camera bump. The 2 cameras, a 48-megapixel main camera and the 13-megapixel ultra-wide, are protected with an oval piece of glass instead of a wall-to-wall camera shelf. The single-tone LED flash is covered with plastic. The only metal we find on the back panel is the black ring that surrounds the camera ovals. Now, while I have ya, it turns out that blueberries weren't always called blueberries. Back in the day, hundreds of years ago, they were called star fruits, thanks to the little star shape formed from where the blueberry blossom used to be on the berry. Personally, I think starfruits is a way cooler name, and I didn't realize until halfway through our class with Jerry that the color iris is also a flower. It's blue, obviously, but there's no way I'm drawing one of those, so starfruit it is. One blueberry bush can produce thousands of berries a year, so they make excellent low-maintenance snacks if you have a garden. Where was I? Oh yeah. The back of the Pixel 9a is plastic. The screen of the Pixel 9a is a 1080p 120Hz 6.3-inch actual display with 2,700 nits of brightness. It does last for about 30 seconds under the heat from my lighter, with surprisingly minimal amounts of damage. The main structural issues we want to watch out for we find through the bin test. Yeah, $500 isn't a budget phone to be sure, but a low price point doesn't give any phone the excuse to not be durable. Luckily for Google, the Pixel 9a, while adopting the iPhone aesthetic, has also adopted the iPhone's rigidity, and this Android phone is unflexing from both the front and the back. So you might be asking, hey Jerry, if the Pixel 9a survives the durability test, why would you tell people not to buy it? And we're getting there, don't you worry. First I gotta vent about those annoying text message scams. which thankfully today's sponsor Bitdefender has a solution for. I read an article the other day about tech scams being a multi-billion-dollar industry, which is obviously run by terrible humans. I even get those scam text messages on my own personal phone. Bitdefender has a new protective layer for your digital life called Scam Copilot, which is a new AI-powered sidekick that detects and fights sophisticated online email and texting scams in real time. A smart person such as yourself might understand the difference between phishing and phishing, but for sure your parents or grandparents might not. With Bitdefender, you can now protect your family and your future inheritance at the same time with help from the Scam Copilot chatbot, which uses specialized AI to help users spot scams, interpret screenshots, and talk about scams using natural language conversations, which is especially useful for people who aren't fluent in these technical spaces. You don't have to take my word for it though. Bitdefender has been a global cybersecurity leader for the past 2 decades and is currently delivering protection to millions of consumers and businesses worldwide. For just a few bucks a month, one Bitdefender account can protect 5 devices at a time, so you can hook your parents or grandparents up on their computers, iPhones, or Androids. It also gets you unlimited VPN traffic, a password manager, and identity protection. I'll leave a link in the description for your Bitdefender Premium Security subscription, along with the discount, and thanks to Bitdefender for sponsoring this video. I was so excited about Bitdefender that I accidentally left my hot air on the plastic bag for too long and absolutely roasted that thing. It's all good though. Google's usually pretty good about selling replacement parts through iFixit. I'll pop a T3 bit into my screwdriver and remove the 15 visible T3 screws on the back plastics. These are different sizes, so if you're doing this repair at home, make sure to keep the screws organized. And make sure to turn the phone off. And remember that there are 3 more T3 screws hidden under the Pixel 9a's camera ring. The reason I would suggest not buying the Pixel 9a this year is because Pixel's still doing something that every other smartphone manufacturer has successfully quit doing. Apple has quit, Samsung quit doing it, Red Magic and OnePlus never did it. Nothing is solid and Huawei's good. But Google, on this Pixel 9a, still has the world's most garbage battery removal system on the planet. I cannot say enough bad things about this battery removal procedure. Not even with isopropyl alcohol can that dissolve the glue under this battery, and prying it out could cause it to combust. I've been there and done that. Honestly, I hope whoever greenlit this battery attachment style steps in a puddle of water while wearing socks. Permanent glue is a giant middle finger to recycling and the planet. Google says their aluminum frame is made from 100% recycled materials, but the only way they got that recycled aluminum in the first place is because other manufacturers didn't contaminate the raw material by permanently adhering other elements to it. Separation is the first step to recycling, and until Google fixes their battery mounting procedure and gets rid of this glue and worthless pull straps, I can't recommend their phones to anyone. Because no matter how many years of updates the phone gets, it'll still need to be recycled at some point. I'm just going to leave the battery here where it is since I don't feel like exploding today. There are 2 more T3 screws holding down the ultra-large motherboard. This lady snakes around the battery all the way down to the lower charging port board, which is soldered in place. There's also a ribbon attached to the backside with a Lego-style ribbon connector. This is for the screen. Technically, the screen could be fully replaced without taking off the back panel at all, which is pretty cool. Pixels have always been pretty repairable, minus, the whole battery thing. The main camera is 48 megapixel and does have optical image stabilization, and the 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera does not have OIS. Even iFixit is heating up their battery with a hot air gun to get it out. Can you imagine trying to pry out a hot lithium battery? It's wild, and Google needs to change. The lower loudspeaker does not have any visible balls inside. However, the upper stereo speaker does have balls in the earpiece. And I don't want to be a party pooper, this is a great phone, but for the past few years, this battery issue has gotten ridiculous. We know that lithium batteries are 95% recyclable and reusable, but only if manufacturers build their phones in a way that allows us to get them out easily. So until Google's battery attachment method is different, vote with your wallet and don't buy one. Or 7 years from now, when all your updates are over, Google's lithium battery juice is going to be leaking out of the landfill into your drinking water. Get your Bitdefender discount with the link in the description, and thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.